Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new around here, I make videos for anyone who's looking to try and improve their chess in the club rating level, beginner level, any level really. I'm just documenting my chess journey, showing what I'm learning, showing how I'm trying to improve my chess and all that. So if that sounds interesting, please consider subscribing as it would be greatly appreciated. In today's video, I'll be sharing my first over-the-board game of the season. Because I play it's like a season. And yeah, I'll show my first over the board game. I'm rated 1684 in classical or quick play, I think it's called, and my opponent was rated 1758. So it was around 100 elo points rated higher than me. And so let's get into it. So I started with e4. I just went. That's why I always do e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, and bishop b5. I do want to say I recently got a new book on the RuyLopez on the opening theory, and I will be making a series on the opening theory. So make sure you subscribe if you do want to see that. I'll be going over all the main lines, all the side lines, all the middle game ideas, and all of that. So I was actually looking at this book a bit before I played this game, and it kind of came in handy actually, weirdly enough. Anyway, my opponent here played a6. I went bishop a4, knight f6, castles. D6 was played, and I went a rookie. Oh, sorry, no, D6. Sorry, excuse me. After castles, my opponent went bishop e7. After bishop e7, I went rook e1, defending this pawn and getting ready to maybe take. So my opponent went b5, bishop b3, and after bishop b3, my opponent went d6. I went c3 because now knight a5 ideas. This pawn is if my opponent goes knight a5 now, I cannot take this pawn because it's defended. But before this was the sole defender, so I went c3. So at knight a5, I can move my bishop to c2. So after c3 was played, my opponent played castle. Sorry, d3 was played, and now my opponent played a strange move h6. What's not really played a lot, to be honest. Other moves include like rook e8 or maybe knight a5, but h6 is not normally seen. So I mean, I thought, however, I did think that they may just transpose, and I didn't know the theory too much to this, but I thought that it could get quite theoretical. But I was reading my book, and it pretty much just said white will try and look to control the center and play d4 at the right moment, and black will try and stop it and try to control the center his own and go with knight a5 ideas and c5. So this book actually helped me, even though I read a tiny bit. So I knew the whole time I had to play d4 at the right moment. So I continued here. Knight b to d2. Knight a5 was played. Bishop c2, and now a c5 was played. After c5, I played knight to f1. It's a very common idea for RuyLopez players to transfer their knight from b2 to f1, and then there it can go to g3 or e3. After c5 was played, let's backtrack. After knight f1, after c5, knight f1 was played. Bishop b4 was played, and now I played knight g3 was fine. Maybe h3 was a tiny bit better. After, say, bishop h4, bishop h5, I can go here now, and say the knight comes back. I believe I can even go like knight e3. But I also could have gone knight e3 straight away, but then bishop h5 was slightly annoying, even though I can go knight f5 and go here. But I was here looking at knight e3 or knight g3, and I just ended up going knight g3. I just thought it was safer. I thought it was more principled, but I think knight e3 would have been fine as well. Queen c7 was played. This is quite a common move in the RuyLopez. This white wants to go d4. Black knows that and is anticipating that, so wants to have an open pieces on the c file. H3. Oh, h3 was played. And now bishop e6. And now there's a move here that is kind of the whole This move is kind of the basic strategic idea that white will want to go for, and it's d4. I thought now was the right time. Actually, it was d4 is the right move, but I kind of did it for the wrong reasons. For example, I was just as say a waiting move like h3, a3. I wouldn't have played something like that. I was scared of d5 actually. Say after takes, knight takes, knight e5, and bishop d6. I was scared that when I move this knight, he's gonna win this pawn, and there's no bishop f4 here. And I was actually just scared about this position. I thought white's pieces are getting into the game, the bishop's getting active. But here I can actually I overlooked the simple move here. Well, it's actually just d4. d4 just solidifies this knight, and all is pretty much fine. But yeah, I just missed that move, to be honest. But that's what I was scared about. So that's the reason why I did play d4, because now d5 I just take. So I played d4, cd4, and now cd4. And then my opponent went rook c8, putting pieces on this piece. And at this moment, I was thinking, surely this position's being reached. I believe the game. After knight g3, after queen c7, this position has never been reached before. But around here, I thought rook e2. I thought I was doing fairly well. I thought to myself, this looks like kind of like a master game, maybe not, kind of. So I thought after rook e2, I mean, I wasn't so happy playing rook e2 because I was wanting to try to develop my bishop, and I also knew knight c4 ideas. For example, if I developed my bishop, I knew knight c4, maybe you could win it, and then maybe go knight down the line, maybe go knight h5 and knight f4 and hit this rook. So I wasn't over the moon, but rook e2 is actually a fine move. Rook d8, and now there's an idea here. There's one idea here that you can try pause the video and try find what the idea is here for white, kind of like the positional idea. If you did pause the video, or if you're just fairly good at chess. I mean, I didn't play this move knowing it was the best move. I just kind of just hoped. I went d5. d5 here, this bishop has literally no squares. It has to go back to d7. And this bishop's kind of miserable. And after d5, we're just taking space. Really, that's all. Now, after d5, there's another move here that I encourage you to try pause the video and try and find. I think it's quite an important move. And, yeah, try pause it. So the move here is b3. I thought this was, actually, from a human point, the engine gives this the top move, I'm pretty sure. Let me check. I think it does. Yeah, one of the top engine moves. I think from a human perspective, though, this move is quite important because it just stops the knight c4 ideas. For example, notice how my bishop's on c1. I want to try and develop my bishop and put a rook on c1 as well. But all the lines where I develop my bishop, knight c4 is really annoying because it hits this pawn and this bishop. And this is better for white after b3. Can take. We can't even take back with a rook. Sorry, this is better for black. So this was quite. So b3 was quite important. After I played b3, my opponent was he was quite actually annoyed. He was kind of like shaking his head. Maybe he was bluffing, but no, he did seem quite annoyed because I feel like there was lots of lines that I was looking at where the knight coming to c4 was extremely annoying. So I just played b3. I figured that there's no really move that black can play to really punish b3. So I think that's fairly instructive though. If you're learning the RuyLopez, I know I did say I will be making more videos on the theory, but I learned quite a lot from this game. Hopefully you can as well, because it was my first real game playing the RuyLopez in a league game. So anyway, knight b7 was played. This knight is not doing anything. It needs to try and get back into the game. Knight b7 is the only move. And now, I know I've asked you to pause the video a couple times, but now is another time where there's only one really positional idea here. And it's very important. From a human perspective as well, it's extremely important, even from the engine. And I encourage you to pause the video and try to find a positional idea here that makes white's positions a lot better. So if you did find it, the move here is b4. I was trying to find improvements here because I looked at the game and I did a game review on chess.com, and I knew that around here I played a suboptimal move. Here I played bishop e3. Excuse me. And bishop e3 is not the best move, but it's not that bad. I just wanted to develop my bishop and go rook c1. However, b4 is actually quite instructive here. For example, if black tries to go a5, you just go a3, and say after takes, we have an extremely strong pawn here. And there's an extremely important concept here after b4. It leaves the c4 square very weak, but if you notice, if you take one step further and say, you know what, it leaves the c4 square weak, we don't want to play this, it's extremely hard for, it would take a long time for black. Black will have to get his knight to b6 as the only square, which means he will have to move the rook, have to move the knight here, and move the knight, sorry, no, he'll actually have to get the knight to c8, what's even way harder. So the knight's not coming to b6 anytime soon, so the knight is not coming to c4, and I thought maybe a scary looking move is maybe queen c3, but after rook b1, it's fine. But I thought this was actually fairly instructive. I mean, b4 is just completely shuts this knight. It also shuts this bishop out. As you will see, this bishop is completely dead because there is a plan for black to free up the bishop. But b4 here is just crushing. Anyway, I didn't play that move. I didn't see it. But now I went bishop e3. b4. And now you see b4. After b4, white can maybe exchange a bishop. I went bishop d3 anyway. Queen a5. This was the idea. It's a fairly good idea. I mean, to exchange the bishops. After queen a4, I played knight d2, trying to go to c4, bishop b5, and knight c4. Here I don't really want to exchange. I mean, say I was looking at the options. If this happens, then even though black has two doubled pawns, these pawns are. If I wanted to really make progress with these pawns become undoubled, and they're kind of just, this pawn's kind of backwards, and these pawns are keeping it backwards. And if the queen takes, I thought after knight c4, I mean, but after knight c5, black's actually doing okay, and the knight looks good here, but it's not doing all that too much. So I did play the best move, was knight c4. After takes, my opponent played knight c5. I went bishop d2, defending this knight. However, f3 here was a good move. F3 with the idea. Now we can go knight f5 because we couldn't go knight f5 before due to takes. Oh, sorry, no, we can't. Maybe like bishop f8 and then we could go f3. But f3 we will need to play this move anyway. We want to go bishop knight f5 no matter what move order. So f3 was a good move here. And after rook b8, we could go knight f5, we could go queen e1, bishop d2, and try to get this queen into the game. So that was also another idea, to go f3. But anyway, I went bishop d2 after knight c5, putting pressure here and defending the pawn. Queen c7 was played, what kind of just gave me a pawn, bishop b4, and I was quite happy here. So I'm a pawn up. A5, I just put my bishop back. I thought, I've got this position, I'm up a pawn. I was expecting here a bishop b6 and queen b6. And my idea was to actually go, I mean, here queen e1 was a good move. Actually, an extremely good move to hit this. But my idea really was just to go f5 after this. Work out a way to try and play f4, sorry. But queen e1 was quite strong. With the idea of f3 again. Anyway, bishop b4 was played, a5, and now bishop d2. H5 was played, and now I was a bit scared because I thought this pawn was coming under attack. If this is played, so I went bishop g5. However, there's a good move for white here. What's knight f5? For example, if this is taken, We have the very nice move here. Bishop a5, 4 king knees, and sorry, I think it's skewering. And if this, we take this with check. So I had a good move here. It was knight f5, but I missed it. Instead, I just wanted to try stop this pawn from coming here. G3 was G6 was played. Queen d2. Rook a8. Rook f1. Was trying to go f4 here. That was my whole idea. Queen a7. Now with f4, then knight e3 can be played. So after Queen a7, I went King h1. However, King h2 would have been better to give my knight a square. Notice after King h1, my knight has no squares. So sorry. After Queen a7, King h1 was played. Knight h7 was played. Here I played an extremely stupid move. I don't know why I played it, but I missed a simple tactic. After this, you can try find out why this move is bad. But after knight takes, pawn takes, and h4, my knight is trapped. I went f4, and this happened in the game. However, I do want to say, after this, the engine just says go rook c1 and move your rook back from f1 to c1 and use the open file. But I mean, my whole idea was to go f4. Maybe it wasn't the best idea, but after this takes, and this, I go f4. This position's pretty bad. I mean, I actually had an option here to go knight h5 and now go f4 because these pawns are both here and they're not. You'll see the difference. Notice how these pawns, there's no queen can really, or rook can really check. They're blocking the file. So these pawns would be easy to win. And white still has fighting chances actually after knight h4. Knight h5. But I played f4. I kind of bluffed and pretended I saw all of this. He took. I went f5. And then my opponent here played knight b2. I don't know why. I think he was just scared of my attack. After I just took and he went queen d4. However, taking the knight, as soon as I saw this, I thought, oh, what have I missed? But he was just giving back material for no reason. I was looking here. I was quite low on time. My opponent was thinking. I thought here f6 was just absolutely crushing for black. There's nothing I can really do after f6. Say if I take, then black can take here, get the king, and get the rook, and threatening mate himself. And also after f6, I was looking at the options because I thought f6 was going to be played. I was looking at g takes. I mean, after bishop takes, I was looking at queen h6, but I mean, I can't really do anything else because if this, then this, and this. So it was pretty bad. That's why knight h4 was good because it blocked this file. But I went f4. After knight takes, I took, and he went queen d4. Takes, and there was a time scramble, but this endgame was fairly easy to win. I think my opponent here went this was my move. I think I went rook. I think I went rook f3 here. Just to win this. And after a4, I think I went f6, bishop f8, and this bishop was locked in for the whole endgame, and the king. So he was playing down a king and a bishop. It was very easy to win. I think I just took this, and after a3, I played rook a2, and I ended up winning this pawn. I can bring this in here. It was extremely easy to win. Anyway, that's the end of the game. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did get any value out of the video, please leave it a like, sub, as it would be much appreciated. And yeah, thank you for your time and attention, and I'll have more videos coming soon, and have a good rest of your day.